My next guest has been a professional mixed martial artist since 2015. She has shared the cage with some of the best fighters in the world. She is a veteran of Invicta FC and Bellator MMA. And on April 7th, she's going to step foot in the PFL cage for the very first time. And she joins me right now, Miss Amber Leibrock. Amber, thank you so much for being here. I'm a big fan of you. I like watching you fight.
Thank you. What's up? I'm excited to be on the podcast. I've heard great things about you and your podcast, so I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
I am excited to talk to you because you are somebody that really got into fighting, I feel, at a very pivotal moment in women's MMA. And I kind of wanted to start our conversation here. And you're somebody who's been around and kind of seen all of it from when it like really started on the scene. And I'd love to get your perspective, like what's changed in women's MMA from when you were an amateur to today.
I was there live in LA when Ronda Rousey fought Liz Carmouche for the very first women's fight in UFC like history. So yeah, I've been around a while, and I just think that really what has changed is the acceptance. Like a lot of people looked down on women's fighting, and like this whole like pretty girls get this and that, and now there's just like such a wide range of like every kind of woman, tall, big, small, short, like we're just so much more accepted in it. And I think that we have really brought a fire to fighting. Like cool dudes can get in there and bang it out, dope, but women are so technical, we're so effort, like we just have like this charisma about us, like this nice flow in the way we fight, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. Not saying it's not beautiful to watch men fight, but we bring such a technical aspect of it that it's not just brutes like going in there at it. Like women are we think about technique. We want to be flawless. We want to show like beautiful striking, grappling, and all these things. And I just think that we've really changed the game, and I'm excited to have been there from the start, pretty much.
We're going to look back at that like moment in time from that fight that we just mentioned 20 years from now, and like that's going to be like circled. Like that was a really pivotal moment in not just like women's sports but just MMA in general. Like it opened up so many doors for fighters from all over the world. And this is why I think MMA is the best sport. It's because like when you think about it in terms of context, like women's sports in general, like there's no Stanley Cup in women's sports, period. There's no World Series, there's no Super Bowl, but you could be a woman, you could be a UFC champion, you could be a Bellator champion, you could be a PFL champion. The sport has like progressed because of people like you. Like the sport would not be where it is had it not been for people like you who were doing it at a very pivotal time. When you think about that 12-year-old girl who's like watching MMA for the very first time, and she's watching somebody like you, and she's like interested, like, oh wow, like women can do this. I'd love to get your opinion, like for that 12, 13, 14-year-old girl who's like watching somebody like you and like feeling inspired by what it is that you do. Like what would your message be to somebody like that?
Just go for it, like put your heart in it, dream big. And just because we're women doesn't mean that we can't dominate in men's sports. And I think that that's the biggest thing, and I think women's fighting brings this whole new like light of confidence. Like I'm not like whatever people, but you see so much superficial things, TikTok, music videos, all TV, like all this stuff. All these girls are like, and not saying women fighters don't do it, a little Botox, lip, but you see everyone like cosmetically just changing their bodies and like doing all, and I'm not saying that do those things for the right reasons, but I think it's very important to give women, little young women growing up, like a real life figure to look at, like women fight, like women athletes in general, boxing, soccer, whatever, we're real life. Like these are real women. We go through all of the trials and tribulations women have, whether it's business, so to watch women dominate, especially in men fields, I think it's very important for young women to see that, okay, maybe I don't look like that girl, but look at this one, and like she's so much different, I'm so much different, like I can still do it. And I think that the variety that comes in women's sports in general is so very, very important to put a proper mindset of what women should be for young women growing up. Like you don't have to be a Kardashian, you don't have to be this new like thing that's you can be who you are and just love what you do. And as long as you're not hurting anybody or yourself, like go for it.
You could realistically do this at a very high level for another 8 to 10 years. Realistically, right?
Sure.
Realistically, I think that's fair. 8 to 10 years from now, when we look back on this, and I'm the #1 MMA podcast in the world, and you have a couple belts under you, when we look back on this point in time, like, how do you want your MMA career to be like remembered?
When I was in Bellator, I didn't really have an amateur career. I went pro very, very quickly. And when I went to Bellator, I learned a lot of things the hard way, but I never gave up. That year, I lost 6 times. I lost in everything I did, whether it was jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, MMA, and it was such a pinnacle point for me in my life, in my career. Like I had to make major changes at home. I had to make major changes within myself. I had to like be super accountable and like, who are you? What are you doing? And I think that when you look back on my career, I want people to know it doesn't matter how hard it gets, like a Charles Oliveira, right? Like how rough it was before he captured that belt. I want people to know, like, man, this girl didn't give up. I won't give up. Like, I'm never going to give up. And resilience is key. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what happens. Like, you just keep doing what you love and you keep fighting for it. And eventually you're going to get there.
I circled this. I was doing my homework on you. I was looking through your fights, looking through your resume, right? And this was that moment of time. Like I circled that Bellator run because there are a lot of things that I see. I see people make it there, they don't find success, they go back to the regional scene, and even when they go back to the regional scene, they aren't the same. It looks like they lost their love for it because they didn't get that success. They lost their love for the sport. And I wanted to ask you very specifically, after you fought Borga, it's September 2019. You go through that 3-fight run gauntlet. Talk to me about like, what's your mindset?
Well, for me, like if you take it back, like I had a really rough upbringing, as a child. And I always had the mindset, like if my life didn't take me out, I would never let anything else take me out. But back in that Bellator kind of era, like I was a shell of a person. Like I was not really getting along well with teammates, with coaches. Like I was very hard to deal with. I had a chip on my shoulder. I was angry. I was literally a shell of a person. I was in a very bad relationship. And when people say the cage will expose you, like it will expose you, you better respect the game. And at the time, I just wasn't respecting the game. And I remember walking out of the SAP Center after that. And, I'm from here. So like, all my people, I fight at the SAP Center. That thing is packed. That thing roars loud, and all of my people watched me fail that night. And she wasn't better than me. I literally gave up because I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I don't want to be here. And I remember walking out of the SAP Center, looking at my coach Kirian and going, I'm done. I can't. I'm done. And me and Coach Kirian, like that's like my dad. We are very, very close. Me, his wife, like we're family, and he looked me, he stopped me. He looked at me. I'll get teary-eyed right now. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, I love you too much to watch you go through this. If I didn't think you could be the best in the world, we're not done. And from that moment is when I was like, okay, what am I doing? And that's when I learned to be real accountable with myself. Like, what kind of effort am I putting in the gym? Okay, yeah, I'm there every day, but just because you're there every day doesn't mean you're actually there every day, right? Do I really love this? Of course I love this. And I just had to dig within myself. I got out of the relationship I was in. I changed my mindset. COVID had happened. A lot of switches happened at the gym. I started working a lot with Adam Piccolotti, and Adam Piccolotti changed my mind. Gaston Bolaños, they changed my mind when I really started listening to them, when it became how I trained. I stopped training with women as much, especially women who were smaller than me. and I started training with the boys, which take emotion out of it. Like the boys are not emotional. Like getting in there, they fucking train really, really hard and they don't hold nothing against each other. Where sometimes with women, it's a little different,
Mhm.
you know? So I just took full accountability of where I was failing myself and I got to the drawing board and I changed it. Started working with sports psychologists. First, I was working with Danny Patterson. And then now I'm working with Richard Hart, who's a hypnotherapist. And they've really, you know, just kind of changed my mindset. And I learned to love myself out despite of my flaws and the failures, despite of my parents and my childhood, despite all that. And I think it just kind of, you know, and then when COVID happened and it all got taken away from me, that like lit something like, man, when I get this opportunity back, like I'm going to go for it hard. And it's just been a process, but you really haven't seen the best of me. You know, people are like, oh, once they hit their peak, I have not hit my peak. And like, I'm planning on showing that when I hit that PFL cage in 2 weeks.
Well, we're going to definitely talk about your PFL fight, but I had one kind of question for you, and it's simply
Okay.
this. You're one of the best fighters in the world at 145 pounds. Like, you look at it, you are, this isn't just Tyler's opinion. Like, go on Tapology, look at you. Like, you are the 25th best 145-pound fighter in the world. That says a lot about what people think about you, what the media thinks about you. That's a fact. Look it up. For any of the doubters or any of the haters out there, look it up. Like when you think about that, every single 145 pounder, like there's a tight list, you're on that list. Like people look at you and like she's one of the best fighters in the world. Not a
Yeah.
lot of people make it to your level in this sport. This sport is freaking brutal. It'll chew you up and it'll spit you out if you aren't ready for it. You've been doing this for a very long time at a very high level. You've competed with some of the best fighters in the world, and you've had success against some of them. What does it take to get to your level in MMA? Like, what do you have to be willing to give up to get to your level?
Everything. You have to be willing to give up everything, your ego, your pride, everything you think you know. You have to be you have to have a white belts mentality. You have to be constant, like coachable, you know. You have to take information from everybody. You don't know more than these people that have been here before you. You might be excellent at this one thing, but you can always learn from people, and you
Mm-hmm.
really just can't give a fuck. Like you can't care what people say, and you have to fight for the right reasons. Like people that are just like, I don't know, if you're just out here fighting because you want to be a cool guy or you want to like, you know, be popular and get bitches and like
Mm-hmm.
all this, which not saying like those guys don't make success or women get success off that, but from my experience, I've learned you have to fight for the right reasons. You have to have very strong whys, and you know your goals have to be realistic, and you have to be um accountable with yourself, like for real. Like what are you doing? Okay, it's easy to leave gyms. Oh, I lost, I'm gonna leave this gym. Oh, I lost, I'm gonna leave this gym. Not saying people don't move and like change their lives for whatever reasons, but you have to be accountable with yourself. All right, what are you doing? Like how much effort are you putting in on the mat? Are you really going through those live rounds? Are you like, or are you sitting out? Like, you know, are you really hitting all your sessions like you're supposed to? And I think that, yeah, it's just a lot of that. Like fight for the right reasons. Like don't give a fuck about failures and this and that. Don't try to be a big fish in a small pond. Like I always tell people, man, if you're the best person in the room, you are in the wrong room. Like
Right.
you have to, and that really changed too when I started training with people. Like obviously, like I would never like Adam Piccoloti's work for me. I'm not work for him, but that man, he will put it on me. He will show me, you know, like this is what it's like. Like this is what it's like. Like you got to feel what it's like to drown on this mat. So when you get into that cage, you've been there before. And yeah, I just think it's a lot of that, you know, and just having your mind like focused.
Amber,
Focused.
you
Don't
had to
get
like
distracted.
work your ass off to get this opportunity. Like PFL didn't just like call you up and give you an opportunity because you're a pretty face and they think you can sell tickets. Like this was merit. Like after Bellator, you had to go on a run. You had to punch your ticket here. You made it, and you look at the featherweight class. There's some killers here.
Oh,
We got Pacheco in here. Kolesnik's in here. Aspen Ladd's in here. Jindrova, who you're fighting here in a couple weeks, they're in here. I'd love to get your opinion. Like when you look at this pool of girls that you're going to have to compete against this year, like what are your thoughts on this 145-pound weight class?
Man, I'm excited. Like I have nothing but respect for all these women. They have been fighting just as hard as I have for these opportunities, and I'm honored to sit among them. I'm honored to sit at the same table as them and to get the opportunity to share the cage with them. You know, people get like scared to get in the cage. Like I want to be in there with these women. I want to show that I'm better than them and at the same time give them my full on respect because it's so hard. It's especially as a 145-pound fighter. It's so hard for us. And we finally have this amazing platform, which is all these amazing, beautiful, talented, strong women. And I'm just excited to represent and be here with them, you know? Because at the end of the day, especially as a 145 pounder, I've said this in pretty much every podcast I've ever done. We fight for each other. We're fighting for this division. You know, we're fighting to grow this division because nobody else is doing it for us. PFL, Bellator, you know, UFC is trying to do their thing, but really it's us fighters that have to show up on fight night and show them like, hey, this is what you guys want to watch. This is what you guys want to see. And we're here to put it on, you know? So yeah, I'm excited. I'm honored to be at this table with these women.
That's a very important point because there is no featherweight division in the UFC. Like we can say that there is, but there really isn't. And you look at it, yeah, we have a champion, but there aren't really any contenders. They've pretty much killed that division. Bellator and PFL, they're really kind of like carrying the load for women's MMA right now, in my opinion. That's kind of a controversial thing to say, but I really believe
Well,
it.
at least for the featherweights, you know, I don't know, the 15ers, 25ers in the UFC are fucking holding it down, you know,
That's
for
true.
women's fighting. But for the featherweights, I would agree, you know,
Yeah.
and I obviously I don't work for the UFC. I can't tell you, you know, and then, you know, you've got all women organizations like Invicta and stuff also putting it down. But right now it does seem that Bellator and PFL are the ones that are really putting us on and they're really giving us a show. And I really love PFL because it's not just like, oh, we have this division, like it's a show, like
Mhm.
they're advertising, they're letting the world know featherweights are here, they're excited about us. Like look at the card, like there's all the fights, like, well, except the heavyweight dudes, but there's like tons of women's fights on these cards. And it's like, look at this past weekend with
Mhm.
Dakota Davichi. I never say her name right, she's gonna kill me, but you know, with Dakota, like PFL is really giving us an opportunity to just shine, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and it feels invigorating to be a part of it, for
Well,
sure.
Amber, you're going to have a chance to shine here in a couple of weeks. It's a big fight card. It's really
And
exciting,
Vegas is my city. Vegas
right?
is second home to me. I love Vegas, so I'm excited to be there.
PFL's in Vegas, and right out the gate, you have an opportunity to test yourself against a really dangerous girl, Martina Jindrova. I've seen her fight. She had a lot of success last year. She until she ran into the buzzsaw that is Kayla Harrison. No shame in losing to that woman. But I will tell you, now she's down a weight class. She's competing in the featherweight division. Now she has to fight you. What do you think about your opponent?
I think it's a beautiful matchup. You know, we're both strikers. She's very Muay Thai classically trained. People would say, like, I guess I'm like Muay Thai classically trained as well because of the gyms I come from. But I think it's a beautiful first round fight for not just her, but for myself. You know, I'm no slouch and I've been in this game a long time. And I think her and I match up really, really well. Um, I just hope, you know, she's not slacking on me because I'm not slacking on her. And I'm excited to go out there and I want to steal the show. Every time I fight, you know, I always want to have the best fight of the night. And I think that she is the perfect person to do that with. And not just for me, but for herself as well. And I really want to steal the show. So when we fight, well, obviously her and I won't fight again in June, but when we come back in June, because, you know, there's an automatic second fight no matter what happens, when we come back in June, people are like, we're tuning in. This is what we want to see. We want to see these girls fight, you know, and that's what I'm here for.
What do you, without giving, I don't ever ask questions about game plans. I'm not going to ask you that. but I will ask you at a very like high level, what do you need to do to beat this girl? Like, what do you need to do to get the 3
Be
points?
myself. I just need to go in there and do my thing, be myself, let it flow. And that's pretty much it. I'm a well-rounded 45 where I'm athletic, I'm fast, I can grapple, I can wrestle, I can strike. I don't have no problem making 145 pounds. I walk around at a pretty good weight. I look thin, but you can ask anybody that's ever trained with me. I'm strong. And yeah, I just got to go in there and be myself, let it flow, and it's going to be a beautiful night.
Amber, I'm really looking forward to your fight. I think you're very, very talented. You're an exciting fighter. I think of violence
Thank
when
you.
I think of you, and it's going to
Thank
be
you.
really exciting to watch. But I want to give you the final word. I know that you have a lot of people that work with you. We've already talked about some of those people, but who do you need to shout out before we wrap up here?
Well, first off, I want to shout out my sponsors of All Bronze Towing, NorCal Towing, and Rich and Flesh. OC Made It. Those are my sponsors. They really ride for me. I want to shout out my team. So everybody over at CSA, all my teammates, all my coaches, Coach Carrion, Coach Mao, Coach Angel, also my team over at El Nino, the Scrap Pack. Gilbert Melendez has really changed my mind and really helped me well round my game. And I've got so many amazing teammates over there. So yeah, I've got my sports psychologist Richard Hart, who I've mentioned earlier, and then also my PT Hayden over at Los Gatos Sports and Recovery, I believe it's called. And yeah, it's I tell people all the time, like, yeah, you're in there alone, but it don't take one person to get to the cage. It takes a whole team of people, and I have amazing people behind me, and I'm really excited, and I just thankful for all of them.
Amber, I'm excited to watch your fight, and I'm looking forward to having you back after you win, and we can talk about it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.